the sound of the train wheels rumbling on the tracks, rhythmic like the heartbeat of a new journey. Anna pressed her face against the window, her green eyes sparkling under the evening twilight filtering through the thick fog. From Berlin to Prague, just a few hours, but it felt like gliding through a veil of time. From modern concrete streets to an ancient world where granite stones and history blended into hazy silhouettes. She smiled, holding her phone to record a short clip. "Hey everyone. We're on our way to Prague, the city of castles and secrets. Guess where we'll be staying?" Beside her, Lukas stretched out his long legs, a software engineering book half open on his lap. This German guy always had a practical, almost dry demeanor, with messy brown hair and thick glasses. "Anna, aren't you tired of filming all the time? Your TikTok is turning into a travel channel." His voice was deep and warm, with a hint of teasing, but his eyes secretly glanced out the window, where the Czech hills passed by like green-gray ghosts. Eva, the Hungarian friend sitting opposite, was biting her nails, a bad habit when nervous, with her fiery red hair and shy smile. She looked like she stepped out of an Eastern European folk painting. "Prague is beautiful, but I've heard it's full of strange stories. Vysehrad Castle, they say, has ghosts wandering from the plague era. I hope our apartment isn't near there." Anna laughed loudly, turning off the camera. "Come on, Eva. Don't scare each other. We're here to live, not to hunt ghosts." "Lukas, what do you think?" "Rent only €300 a month for 3 people. The deal of the year." She tried to keep her voice cheerful, but deep inside, a vague unease crept in. The memory of her mother, the construction accident in Berlin 5 years ago, when an old building collapsed due to weak foundations, still haunted her. Ancient buildings always made Anna feel like they were whispering, hiding something under layers of time-worn mortar. The train stopped at Prague's main station, the announcements echoing in unfamiliar Czech. The group dragged their suitcases out of the carriage, merging into the bustling crowd. The chilly air of October 2025 whipped their faces, carrying the scent of the vault of a river, a damp smell, mixed with a faint fishy tang from the river's depths. They caught a taxi, the old car speeding through cobblestone streets, over Charles Bridge with its blackened saint statues under the yellowish streetlights. "Vysehrad Residences," the driver muttered as he stopped in front of a Gothic building nestled on the hillside near the river. From here, the silhouette of Vysehrad Castle loomed high. Like a stone giant observing, fog enveloped it, blurring the sharp towers and ancient walls, turning them into bizarre shapes. As if the castle was breathing, alive, Anna swallowed, gripping her suitcase handle tightly. "Oh, it's like a fairy tale. But kinda creepy," Lukas laughed, patting her shoulder. "It's just Gothic architecture. My love, 19th century, solid and sturdy. Come on. Let's check in." They entered the main lobby, where a crystal chandelier dangled, casting faint light on the polished granite floor. The manager, a gaunt man with white hair and deep-set eyes, waited behind the old wooden counter. "Hello, young folks. 3rd floor apartment, number 307. Here's the key." His voice was hoarse, like wind through stone cracks. "Remember, don't go to the basement. It belongs to the past." Eva shivered, whispering to Anna, "What past?" Sounds like a warning from a horror movie, but Anna shook her head. Trying to stay calm, they took the elevator, a creaking iron cage. Slow as if reluctant, to the 3rd floor. The apartment opened with the smell of old wood and musty air, but spacious. 3 bedrooms, a small kitchen, and large windows overlooking the foggy vault of a river. While unpacking, Anna turned on the camera again. "Okay everyone, this is our new home. Visegrad Residences, ancient and mysterious. Who wants a tour?" Lukas helped Eva arrange her suitcase, while she muttered about similar Hungarian legends. The atmosphere was cheerful, but as dusk fell, wind howled through the old windows, carrying distant whispers from the river. Anna stopped filming. Looking out, Visegrad Castle now like a giant black shadow. And under the floor, a light knock, very light, sounded like someone knocking from below. She turned to Lukas, her voice slightly trembling. "Do you hear anything?" But he shook his head, smiling. The first night in Prague began, with secrets stirring awake. The light from the crystal chandelier in the main lobby swayed gently, like invisible fingers caressing the chilly air of the late afternoon. Anna walked ahead, her suitcase rolling lightly on the worn granite floor, the clacking echoing like a welcome from the high Gothic walls. Lukas and Eva followed, their breaths mingling with the scent of aged wood. A faint aroma of time trapped. Visegrad Residences wasn't just a residence. It was like a living body, with corridors as dark veins and the heart as the locked basement. "The reception is over there," Lukas said, his voice steady in the vast space. He pushed his glasses up his nose, eyes scanning the architectural details, intricate carvings on stone columns, strange shapes like whispering faces. Eva gripped her suitcase handle tightly, her reddish eyes darting to the shadowy corners, where darkness seemed to expand and contract with breathing. The manager was sitting behind the glossy old varnished wooden counter, the registration book spread open like an ancient tome. He looked up, his deep-set eyes under white, bushy eyebrows flashing a glint of caution. "You're the group from Berlin, right? Anna Novak, Lukas Muller, and Eva Kovacs?" His voice was gravelly, like wind through castle cracks. He pushed a heavy metal keychain across the counter, the jingle echoing like a bell signal. "Yes, that's us," Anna replied. Flashing a friendly smile to dispel the heavy atmosphere, she took the key, feeling the icy cold from the metal spread through her fingers. "This building is amazing, like from a Gothic novel. Can I film a few scenes for TikTok?" The old man shook his head slightly, a crooked smile on his lips. "Film whatever. Just don't go to the basement. It's not for the living, and remember, if you hear noises at night, just ignore them. Old buildings like this have their own voices." His words carried mystery, not threat, but like advice from someone who'd seen too much. Eva interjected, her voice trembling. "What noises? And the basement? What's down there?" She thought of Hungarian folk tales, where ancient basements were gateways to the other world, where restless souls wandered demanding justice. The manager looked at her for a long moment, then sighed. "The past, little girl. This Visegrad was once an extension of the castle on the hill, burial place for thousands of souls from the plague era. The construction company renovated it. But some things can't be erased. Don't be curious, or you'll regret it." He closed the book with a slam. Like ending the conversation, Lukas frowned, his inner irritation rising with superstitions. As an engineer, he believed in logic, concrete, and wiring, not ghosts. But his heart beat faster when the old man turned away, as if the warning had planted a seed of unease. "Thank you," he said, keeping his voice calm. "We'll be careful." They stepped into the elevator, an ancient iron cage, walls etched with faded floral patterns. As the door closed, the creaking sounded like old bones twisting. The confined space made Eva feel suffocated, the metallic and moldy smell invading her nose. "I don't like that old man," she whispered. "Like he knows something we don't." Anna forced a laugh, dispelling the atmosphere. "Come on. It's just local stories. Prague is full of legends, vampires, golems, all sorts. We're here for a new life. Not ghost hunting." But when the elevator stopped at the 3rd floor, the door opening to a dark corridor with flickering fluorescent lights, shadows stretching long on the cold stone walls, she couldn't help shivering. The corridor extended, with heavy wooden doors on both sides, each like a secret waiting to be unlocked. They entered apartment 307. Light from the large window flooding in, illuminating the simple interior. Old leather sofa, compact kitchen, and 3 connected bedrooms. Eva chose the room near the window, overlooking the vault of a river now sunk in darkness. Fog rolling like the breath of a giant entity, Lukas started arranging things, while Anna filmed another clip. Quick tour of the new apartment. Corridor a bit dark, but river view is top-notch. As night fell completely, they sat around the dining table, sharing a simple dinner bought on the way. Laughter echoed, but gradually drowned by the howling wind outside the window. Then, from under the floor, a light knock, rhythmic like someone testing the patience of darkness. Anna stopped her chopsticks, ears perked. "Do you guys hear that? Like knocking on a door." Lukas shook his head. But Eva paled. The first night truly began, with whispers from the building's depths awakening, waiting to reveal themselves. The warm yellow light from the kitchen spread, pushing back the darkness creeping through the window. Where the vault of a river was now a deep black strip swirling with fog. Anna set the food plates on the table. Simple items from a local store. Czech black bread, smoked cheese, and a few sour apples, trying to turn the unfamiliar apartment into a cozy corner. The spice aroma mingled with the building's damp, cold air, creating a strange blend, as if the past was trying to intrude on their dinner. Lukas sat at the head of the table, slicing cheese with a small knife, his movements precise like coding. "So ladies, anything special on the first day in Prague?" He smiled, trying to keep the atmosphere light, but his eyes secretly glanced at the dark corridor outside the door. The manager and his basement warning still lingered in his mind, though logic told him it was just local superstition. Eva picked up a piece of bread, chewing slowly, her reddish eyes still anxious from the lobby conversation. "I like the river view, but this building feels like it's watching us." In Hungary, places this ancient often have stories. My grandma told of cursed castles where wronged souls knocked demanding justice. Her voice was soft but carried the obsession from folktales, where ghosts weren't jokes but reminders of buried injustices. Anna laughed loudly, pouring water into glasses, the clinking echoing in the quiet space. "Eva, there you go again. We're in modern Europe 2025, not the Middle Ages. Prague is the city of Kafka and good beer, not ghosts. I'll film this dinner, okay? First meal at Visegrad, ancient, and a bit cold." She turned on her phone, zooming in on the table, trying to hide the vague unease from the earlier knock. The memory of her mother, the Berlin building collapse, where weak foundations hid deadly secrets, made her more sensitive to strange signs. They chatted lively, Lukas talking about his new software project, Eva sharing her dream of studying art in Prague. and Anna planning to explore Vyšehrad Castle over the weekend. Laughter drowned the howling wind outside the window, but as the clock struck 10 p.m., the atmosphere grew heavy, darkness seemed thicker, crawling from the corridor into the living room, and the moldy smell from the stone walls began to overpower the food aroma. They cleaned up, each retiring to their room. Anna lay in bed, scrolling TikTok, reviewing the afternoon videos. Lukas in the next room read under a bedside lamp, trying to focus on math formulas to dispel the strange feeling. Eva curled up in blankets, whispering old Hungarian prayers, hoping they would protect from what her grandma had warned. Then it came, the knock, at first just a vague sound, like raindrops on the roof, but gradually clearer, rhythmic, persistent, coming from under the floor, like someone's fingernails lightly scratching wood or a call from the depths. Anna sat up, ears perked, heart racing. "Lukas? Eva, do you hear it?" She called softly through the thin walls. Lukas turned on the light, stepping into Anna's room, his hair messy. What sound? Like knocking, maybe wind through old pipes. He knelt on the floor, hand feeling the cold wooden surface. Searching for the source, Eva appeared at the door, face pale under the dim light. Sounds like someone calling from underground. In my hometown, that's a sign of wronged souls, buried spirits knocking for freedom. Anna tried to laugh, but it came out crooked. Come on, probably just pipes, old building. Vyšehrad must be full of loose things, but deep down, she sensed the change. A sudden cold wind through the window crack. Goosebumps rising, and the knock seemed closer. Like whispers from a grave, Lukas stood up, shaking his head. "Tomorrow I'll check more thoroughly. Sleep now. Don't overthink." They returned to bed. But sleep was fitful. The knock continued. Not loud but persistent, like an invitation to explore. Tomorrow, Lukas would find the crack in the floor, the first step leading them deeper into the secrets of Vyšehrad residences, where the past was no longer silent. Asterisk. The weak morning light pierced through the thick fog outside the window, dyeing apartment 307 in a cold gray hue, as if Prague wasn't ready to wake. Anna sat huddled on the sofa, hugging a hot coffee cup, steam rising to blur her green eyes, still tired after a fitful night. The knock from under the floor last night still echoed in her mind. Not a clear sound, but a clinging sensation, as if Vyšehrad Residences was whispering to her in the language of stone and shadow. Lukas emerged from the bedroom, shirt sleeves rolled up, hair messy like after wrestling a buggy code. He knelt on the oak floor near the dining table, where last night's knock seemed to originate. "I have to find what's causing that sound," he said, his voice firm, but eyes scanning the room for reassurance. Probably pipes or loose old flooring. These 19th century buildings often have issues. He took a flashlight from his toolkit, the yellowish beam sweeping the glossy wood surface. Eva stood at the kitchen door, hand gripping a silver bracelet engraved with Hungarian charms, a gift from her grandma. Her fiery red hair was tangled, eyes revealing lingering anxiety from last night's ghost stories. "I don't think it's pipes, Lukas," she said, voice trembling. "In my hometown, knocks like that come from imprisoned souls. My grandma said, if you hear it, don't answer, lest they pull you into their world." Anna sipped her coffee, trying to stay calm, but the bitterness seemed to blend with a strange scent wafting in the air. Not the familiar mold of the building, but something fishy and pungent, like freshly dug earth from an old grave. "Eva, don't make things more tense. Maybe Lukas is right. just a technical issue, I'll film this. Maybe it'll go viral. She grabbed her phone, starting to record, but inside, the memory of the Berlin building collapse resurfaced. Deadly secrets hidden under weak foundations. Where her mother couldn't escape, Lukas groped the floor. The flashlight beam hitting a corner near the window, where a small crack, thin as a hair, ran along the old oak plank. He frowned, touching it, feeling the rough surface. "Here it is," he said, voice lowering. "Look, this crack isn't natural, it's too deep." He leaned closer, flashlight shining straight into the crevice. And then a blast of icy air puffed up, carrying a stronger pungent smell, like the breath of something long dead. Anna and Eva approached, eyes glued to the flashlight beam. "Oh God, what is that smell?" Eva backed away, hand over nose, face pale, like grave dirt. "Lukas, don't touch it." But Lukas, with his engineer nature, didn't stop. He used a utility knife from his bag. Prying lightly around the crack, a small wood chip popped out, revealing a dark gap below, deeper than they imagined. The fishy smell now surged strongly, not just damp earth, but something rotten. Like a forgotten animal carcass in darkness, Anna filmed close-up, her voice in the video slightly trembling, but trying to sound excited. "Hey everyone, we just found a weird crack under our new floor. Sounds creepy, but probably just old house issues, right?" She panned the camera to the crevice, the flashlight creating long shadows, like bony fingers reaching from darkness. She stopped filming, looking at Lukas. "What do you think? Should we call the manager?" Lukas shook his head, standing up, wiping his hands on his shirt as if to shake off the creepy feeling. "Not yet. Could be a structural problem. I'll check more thoroughly, but definitely not." Ghostly, but his voice lacked certainty, and his eyes secretly glanced at the window, where fog still clung to the silhouette of Vyšehrad Castle on the hill. Like a stone giant watching, Eva stepped to the window, looking down at the vault of a river, now shrouded in thick fog. "I don't like this," she whispered, "in Hungary. My grandma told of houses built on ancient graveyards. Sounds like this aren't random. We should learn about this building, about Vyšehrad, its history." She turned back, eyes determined though voice still trembling. "Anna, can you search online? TikTok or X, see if anyone who stayed here has stories." Anna nodded, opening her phone, scrolling through Prague hashtags. She found a few X posts from former residents of Vyšehrad residences, mentioning night knocks and white shadow hovering in the corridor. One post made her shiver. "Don't stay on the third floor. The white-dressed female ghost doesn't spare the curious about the basement." She read it aloud to Lukas and Eva, voice trying to stay calm but heart pounding. "Sounds like horror stories, but maybe real. Lukas, do you want to check the basement?" Lukas forced a laugh, but his eyes glanced at the crack. "Not yet. Today I'll learn more about the building first. Maybe ask the manager or check architectural maps, but Anna, don't post the video yet. Don't want all of Prague thinking we're crazy." He stood, putting away the knife, but the unease clung, as if the floor crack wasn't just a physical gap, but a door to a deeper secret. As they left the living room to prepare for the new day, the knock sounded again, gentle, patient, like an invitation from the darkness below. Anna turned back, looking at the floor, feeling like the building was waiting, ready to reveal its story. Anna's phone screen lit up in the living room of apartment 307, cutting through the heavy atmosphere after discovering the crack. The cold blue light reflected on her face. highlighting the tense lines, her green eyes now sparkling with curiosity mixed with unease. She sat cross-legged on the wooden floor, fingers scrolling quickly through the X app. The hashtag VYSEHRAD residences hashtag, leading her into a virtual maze of shared stories. Fog outside the window still clung to Prague, turning the city into a hazy painting where reality and legend blended like smoke. Lukas sat beside, laptop on his lap, trying to search local websites for the building's architectural maps. He frowned, adjusting his glasses, his voice ringing with familiar practicality. "Anna, don't read those yet. X is full of fake news. Anyone can post anything. We need real data. Not online rumors." But even he couldn't help glancing at her screen, where comments flowed like an underground vault of a river. Ava knelt on the floor, near the crack now temporarily covered by an old rug, her hand gripping the silver bracelet like a talisman. "Read it, Anna. We need to know. If someone has experienced the same, at least we're not alone." Her voice carried worry from long nights listening to grandma's stories in Hungary, where social media wasn't entertainment, but where warnings spread like plagues. Anna nodded, her voice slightly hoarse after a sleepless night. "Okay, listen. An account at Prague Ghost Hunter posted 2 years ago, at Vyšehrad Residence's 3rd floor. Knocks from the floor aren't hallucinations. It's the white-dressed female ghost, a spirit from the ancient castle. Buried alive to ward off evil, the fishy smell is her sign. Leave before it's too late." She paused, heart racing as she read on. And comments below confirmed. "I stayed there in 2023. Saw a white shadow hovering in the corridor, feet not touching the ground. Basement locked because it connects to Vyšehrad catacombs, burial place for thousands of plague victims in the 14th century." The room's atmosphere suddenly changed, as if those comments had summoned a cold wind from the floor crack. The fishy smell wafted back, not strong but persistent, like the breath of someone listening from darkness. Lukas shook his head, but his voice lacked conviction. "Just rumors. Prague is full of legends from golems to vampires, but our crack matches the fishy smell they describe. Maybe this building really has structural issues, and people exaggerate it into ghosts." Eva shivered, standing up to the window, looking up at the looming silhouette of Vyšehrad Castle on the hill, now partially obscured by fog, looking like a living entity observing, not rumors. "Lukas, my grandma told of similar curses in Hungary, souls buried to protect castles from collapse. If this female ghost is real, the knock is a cry for help, and the fishy smell, that's the smell of decay, of unresolved grievances." Her eyes were determined, but her hand trembled slightly, touching the cold window glass. Anna continued scrolling, finding a long thread on X from a former resident, with photos of the dim corridor with strange blurry shadows. "Listen, they link to the castle history. Vyšehrad was once a fortress, burying war and plague victims. The company built this apartment in 1950, dug into ancient graves but hid it to continue. The female ghost, named Katerina, buried alive in the 15th century. Now wandering for justice." She looked up, voice lowering. "They say don't be curious about the basement, or get pulled down, Lukas. What do you think? Too coincidental, right?" Lukas closed the laptop, pacing the room, trying to rationalize. Coincidences happen, but if there are ancient graves below, the crack is a dangerous sign, not supernatural, but real collapse. I'll search more about the building's history, Anna. Post the video. But be careful. Maybe attract someone who knows the truth. His mind was chaotic. Memories of failed construction projects in Germany flooding back. Where hidden secrets led to tragedies, Ava turned back. Sitting on the floor beside Anna, it's Katerina. Real legend. If we're here, respect it. Don't dig deep, lest the curse spreads. But Anna, with her TikTok curiosity, had posted the video about the crack with caption, "Mystery in Prague. Knocks and strange smell from the floor. Anyone know about Vyšehrad?" Comments started pouring in, each line like a thread connecting past to present. As they turned off the lights for the afternoon, a new comment popped on Anna's screen. "Find the old notebook in the wardrobe. Previous resident left it. It tells all," she read aloud. Heart pounding, the building seemed quieter, waiting for them to explore deeper, leading into buried secrets asterisk. The light from Anna's phone screen faded, leaving the living room sunk in gray afternoon dusk, where Prague's fog still clung persistently outside the window like a veil hiding secrets. The last comment on X lingered in her mind. "Find the old notebook in the wardrobe. Previous resident left it. It tells all." A digital whisper leading into chilling reality. Anna stood up, her hand slightly trembling as she set the phone on the table, feeling like those words had awakened something in Vyšehrad residences, making the air suddenly heavier, carrying the faint fishy smell from the nearby floor crack. Lukas closed his laptop, standing with his familiar skepticism. But his eyes glanced at the wardrobe in the corner, an old oak piece, surface etched with faded patterns like ancient symbols. "Anna, you're going to follow that random comment? Could be a prank, but if there's really a notebook, at least we have concrete data. Not online rumors." His voice tried to stay logical, but inside he was wavering. Memories of hidden construction projects in Germany, making him sensitive to buried secrets. Ava approached the wardrobe, her hand touching the cold brass handle, as if touching a living object. "Do it, Anna. If the previous resident left it, there's a reason in Hungary. Such notebooks are warnings from those who've experienced, like my grandma's diary, recording unrestful spirits." Her eyes were determined, but fingers gripped the silver bracelet, as if seeking protection from family heritage. Anna took a deep breath, opening the wardrobe door with a creaking echo like a dry laugh from the past. Inside were dusty drawers, the smell of rotten wood mixed with old ink wafting out, blending with the fishy pungency from the nearby crack, creating an unpleasant mixture like the breath of a disturbed grave. She rummaged through forgotten old clothes, then touched a cracked leather-bound notebook, yellowed pages rolled up in the bottom drawer. "Found it," she whispered, voice mixed with excitement and fear. She pulled it out, dust flying under the dim light. Like tiny spirit particles, they sat around the table. Anna opening the notebook under the yellowish desk lamp. The handwriting was shaky, faded black ink, as if written in panic. The first page dated 3 years ago. Vyšehrad residences, don't stay long. Knock started first night from under the floor. Fishy smell followed, like grave dirt. I saw her, white shadow in tattered dress, hair covering face, hovering in corridor. Feet not touching ground, Anna read aloud, her voice lowering, heart pounding as she turned to the page. Lukas leaned close, frowning. This is just illusion. Maybe the writer had hallucinations, stress or something, but keep going. See what they say about history. His mind was turbulent, the engineer's reason clashing with the creeping feeling from the notebook. as if the pages were whispering directly into his ear. Ava turned the next page, the writing even shakier. Her name is Katerina. From the 5th-10th century, Vizerad Castle was a fortress facing collapse and war. They chose her, a young girl, to ward off, buried alive in stone walls to keep the castle sturdy. The curse remains, awakening when the company dug graves in 1950 but hid it. The white shadow doesn't harm, only guides once secrets revealed. I tried the basement, but don't try. Fishy smell is the final warning. Eva paused, face pale under the light, as if reliving Grandma's tales of Eastern European curses. Anna flipped to the last page, finding a rough sketch. A hovering white shadow. With note, she whispers, "Return the grave." She looked up. Voice trembling. Matches the X comments. Knocks, fishy smell. Female ghost Katerina. Lukas, still think it's delusion? Deep inside, curiosity surged, but mixed with old pain. Her mother's accident, where hidden secrets led to tragedy, making her feel like touching a thread connecting personal past to the building's dark history. Lukas sighed, closing the notebook, but his hand shook slightly. Matches or not, we need proof. Tomorrow I'll confront the manager about the building's history. Don't let this notebook panic us. But as they turned off the lights, the notebook lay on the table like a living thing, and that night, Lukas began to dream, dreams of white shadows whispering from darkness, pulling him deeper into Vizerad's maze. The building seemed pleased, as if it had revealed just enough to lure them on. Darkness enveloped apartment 307 like a heavy blanket, leaving only faint streaks from Prague's streetlights through the curtain gaps, illuminating the yellowed notebook lying lonely on the table. Anna lay restless in bed, the shaky pages from the notebook haunting her, the handwriting coming alive in her mind. Katerina. Warding, curse, she tossed, trying to dispel the hovering white shadow image. But the faint fishy smell from the floor crack seemed to seep into sleep, turning it into a chilling maze in Lukas's room. He sank into his first dream at Vizerad Residences. Not peaceful sleep, but a deep dive into darkness. In the dream, he stood in the building's corridor, but not the familiar one. Mossy stone walls, etched with ancient symbols like scars from medieval times. The knock sounded, no longer gentle but urgent, like hammers on a coffin. Lukas walked, feet heavy, air suffocating, pressing his chest, carrying a pungent fishy smell, now mixed with dried blood and rotten stone. He pushed an invisible door, and suddenly the scene changed. He was in Vizerad Castle's catacombs. High stone vaults, pitch black, where thousands of skeletons piled from the 14th century plague. The ground under his feet was soft, wet, sticky like mud, and then it began to swallow him. Lukas struggled, hands clawing the earth. But the more he tried, the tighter it gripped, burying him gradually. Not real, he whispered in the dream, voice lost amid moans echoing from stone walls, like cries of countless forgotten souls. Then she appeared, the white shadow, not the blurry image from the notebook, but vivid, tattered dress torn, long hair covering a pale face, feet hovering inches off the ground, as if floating on an invisible river. She approached silently, but each step brought an icy wind chilling to the bone, and the terrifying fishy smell like decomposing flesh. Lukas tried to scream, but his throat was dry, only uttering gasps. The white shadow whispered, voice echoing from grave depths, "Return the grave." Justice, don't hide. Words in ancient Czech, but he understood, as if the curse had etched into his mind. In the dream, the past flashed images of Katerina, the young girl dragged into the castle's stone wall, her eyes full of horror as earth filled gradually to ward the fortress from collapse. Then the scene shifted to modern. Construction company digging graves, but hiding, pouring concrete over bones. Curse awakening. Lukas felt her pain, as if he himself was being buried alive. Earth-filling mouth, nose, ears, stop. He screamed in the dream, but the white shadow only shook her head. Hair flowing like black threads in wind, he woke, sweating profusely. Heart pounding like a drum, the room pitch black. But he sensed the fishy smell lingered. Persistent from the floor crack, Lukas turned on the light, panting. Hand trembling touching the wall to confirm reality. Just a dream, he told himself, but voice hollow. He recalled the notebook. The white shadow doesn't harm, only guides. Was the dream the first guidance? He stepped to Anna's room, knocking lightly. She opened her eyes, seeing Lukas's pale face under the flickering corridor light. Lukas? What's wrong? She sat up, her heart racing, seeing tremble. Eva woke from the next room, joining, eyes full of worry. Lukas recounted the dream, voice stuttering. Vivid details making Eva shiver, exactly like the notebook describes. Katerina is calling you through dreams. Anna held his hand, trying to reassure, but inside unease surged. Lukas's dream was escalation. From knocks to hallucinations, like the building pulling them deeper into secrets. Tomorrow we must learn more, she said. Start with the manager as they returned to bed, fitful sleep. Strange phenomena began to spread, objects moving slightly. Lights flickering without reason, like invitations from darkness. Visegrad Residences was no longer a residence. It was telling a story, and the group were unwilling listeners. Asterisk. The desk lamp in the living room of apartment 307 flickered once, then went out completely, leaving the space sunk in sudden darkness, as if Visegrad Residences was swallowing Lukas's dream recount. Anna jumped from the sofa, hand groping for the switch, her heart pounding like drums from the hallucination he just shared. Lukas, the light. What's this? Her voice echoed in darkness, mixed with worry and a strange excitement. As if this incident was the next puzzle piece in the chilling riddle, Lukas sat motionless, sweat still on his forehead after recounting the hallucination, whispering white shadow. Grave earth swallowing, terrifying fishy smell. He shook his head, trying to regain calm, voice hoarse. Just power outage, old building, loose wiring. But as the light came back with a dry click, he looked around the room, sensing a subtle change. Heavier air, carrying the persistent fishy smell from the floor crack, now spreading like an invisible fog covering everything. Eva stood in the room corner, hand gripping the Hungarian silver bracelet. Face pale under the flickering light, she muttered ancient prayers. Voice breaking. My grandma was right. When phenomena spread, the curse has chosen victims, Lukas. Your dream is a sign. Katerina is pulling you in. We must leave now, before it's too late. Her eyes full of horror, memories of hometown ghost stories now alive. Turning the apartment into a modern version of a cursed castle, Anna approached Eva, hand on shoulder. Trying to keep voice calm, though her mind chaotic, curiosity mixed with fear. Like a flame flaring from ashes of the past. Eva, calm down. We can't run just because of a dream and flickering lights. This is Prague, not a horror movie. Lukas, are you okay? The dream. Sounds exactly like the notebook. She glanced at the yellowed notebook on the table, pages seeming to quiver under wind from the window. Though no wind, but then the phenomena truly began. A book on the shelf, Lukas's software engineering book, suddenly slid to the floor with a thump, rolling lightly toward the crack like pushed by an invisible hand. Eva screamed softly, backing away. See? Objects moving, sign of spirit presence. She ran to her bedroom, rummaging suitcase, pulling a small cloth bag of Hungarian charms, paper talismans etched with ancient symbols, dry herbs smell mingling with pungent fishy. But cold wind whipped through the room strongly, blowing them away and pushing Eva back toward the crack. No, not. She screamed, feeling an invisible force pulling her feet, floor earth-like softening, swallowing her shoes, rotting smell surging from the crevice, like widening grave. Eva's mind panicked extreme. This wasn't help anymore, but punishment, curse reversing, pulling her into virtual catacombs, where hovering white shadow waited. Anna and Lukas ran to pulling Eva from the crack, but hallucinations surged fiercely. Not just images, but real sensations. Living room blurred, replaced by Vizierad catacombs, damp earth-sticking feet. White skeletons piled around, and white shadow, Katerina, appearing in center. No longer hovering peaceful but aggressive. Hair flying chaotic, black eyes flashing anger. Whispering, growling, not done, justice, don't steal grave. Cold wind tightened, earth under Eva's feet swallowing to knees. She screamed in pain, like pulled into virtual grave. Rotting smell invading nose, making her retch. Anna hugged Eva tightly, voice breaking. Katerina, we're helping you. Police will bury properly. Company will be punished. Lukas pulled with strength, but invisible force strong. Like curse reacting to outside intervention, more aggressive because justice not complete. Must promise her. Lukas yelled, and Anna whispered, "We'll ensure your bones buried right, not in lab." White shadow stopped, whisper softening, "Justice." Complete. And hallucination faded. Earth under Eva's feet hardened. Eva collapsed, sobbing. The group sat on the floor, panting, room lights back but flickering fiercely. Fishy smell still enveloping like reminder, Lukas whispered. She wants us to complete proper burial. Not police, Anna nodded. Must contact Novitna, organize burial at Vizierad Cemetery. Eva wiped tears. My grandma right, spirits aggressive when justice obstructed. But if help, we must hurry. Escalation from investigation to spiritual climax, leading to burial and descendant twist. Building shook stronger, lights out once. Like promise from white shadow of darker events coming. Asterisk, the weak morning light filtered through Prague's thick fog, shining into Vizierad residence's main lobby like faint blades, cutting across the lingering darkness from last night. Anna led the group, her footsteps echoing on the cold granite floor. Each sound like a reminder of spreading phenomena, flickering lights, moving objects, persistent fishy smell. After the horrifying night with Lukas's dream and internal group rift, they couldn't wait. Confronting the manager was the next step, an action connecting from the lobby to here, escalating the story from rumor to confirmed history. Lukas walked beside, face haggard after fitful sleep, hand gripping the yellowed notebook like evidence. We must force him to talk, he whispered. voice full of determination but mixed with anger, not just at the building, but at those hiding secrets. Reminding of construction corruption he'd seen in Germany, Eva followed, the silver bracelet sparkling under the crystal chandelier, her eyes full of caution, as if every shadowy corner could hide the white shadow. The manager sat behind the old wooden counter, registration books spread open, but his eyes averted when seeing them approach. His face wrinkled under the dim light, deep furrows like the floor cracks. Voice hoarse ringing before they spoke. "Young folks, something wrong again? Noises last night?" His words carried foreknowledge, like wind through graves, making Eva shiver. Anna placed the notebook on the counter with a light thump, her voice firm. "You know everything, right? About the Knox fishy smell. White shadow asterisk. This notebook, from previous resident, tells of Katerina warding ancient graves. Why is the basement locked? We need the truth." She looked straight into his eyes, inner surging urge, not just curiosity, but need to expose hidden secrets like her mother's accident. Where truth buried under concrete and greed asterisk, the old man sighed, hand trembling, flipping the registration book as if delaying, but then looked up, deep eyes flashing remorse. "I warned you, don't be curious, but..." "All right, sit down." He pointed to an old wooden chair in the lobby corner, voice lowering like whispering to darkness. "This Visegrad isn't just an apartment built in 1950. On ancient grave foundations of the castle, burial place for plague and war victims, asterisk construction company dug bones. But hid money more important than history. They poured concrete over, continued project. Breaking curse unknowingly," Lukas interjected, voice sharp. "Breaking curse? You mean Katerina's warding? And now, company still hiding?" His inner boiling anger at society, greedy hiding relics for profit, exactly like European scandals. Where urbanization swallowed past, the old man nodded, face crooked under flashing light. "Yes, Katerina, girl buried alive 5th-10th century to keep castle sturdy. Curse remains, awakening when they dug graves. Basement connects to Visegrad catacombs, locked to hide. Modern company, those in 2020s, know all, but sell land for upcoming mall." They break curse for money, and now White Shadow wanders, demanding justice. His voice like grave wind, carrying faint fishy smell from air. As if confession summoned it, Eva shivered, voice trembling. "So what do we do? Leave?" He shook head. "Leaving useless if curse chose. But if want to know, find local historian. He knows Visegrad history better than anyone." He pushed notebook back, eyes full warning. "Don't dig too deep, lest pulled down." As they left lobby, tension escalated. Old man's confession opened new door, leading to historian, connecting action chain from dream and phenomena. Building seemed pleased, fishy smell stronger, like promise of darker revelations coming asterisk. The rare sunlight of Prague seeped through the cobblestone streets, but as the group of friends stepped into the local historian's office, an ancient building nestled near Visegrad Castle, darkness seemed to swallow everything. The manager's confession still echoed in their minds, a thread connecting from the apartment lobby to here, escalating the story from rumor to authentic history. Anna pushed the heavy wooden door, the creaking echo like a greeting from the past, carrying the smell of rotting old paper mingled with musty air, reminiscent of forgotten graves. The historian, Mr. Karol Novitin, a gaunt man with messy silver hair and thick round glasses, sat behind a wooden desk crammed with ancient books. yellowed maps, and fossilized bone fragments peeking under the yellowish desk lamp. The office was like a catacomb of knowledge, high book walls. The old paper smelled pungent like grave earth, making Ava shiver right from the first step. "You young folks from Visegrad residences, right?" he said without looking up, his deep voice echoing like from the bottom of a well. The manager already called ahead. "Sit down and tell me, what have you seen?" Lukas sat down on the old leather chair, the yellowed notebook in hand, his inner self surging with the need for verification, not superstition, but historical data to explain the dream and phenomena. "We came to you for confirmation. About Katerina, the warding, the ancient graves under the apartment. The manager said the company hid them. Is it true?" His voice was firm, but his eyes scanned the ancient books, feeling the weight of history pressing down. Mr. Novitin looked up, his deep-set eyes flashing interest mixed with caution, like a guardian of the past. "True indeed. Visegrad isn't just a castle, it's a living burial ground. From the 14th century, the plague wiped out thousands, hastily buried under the fortress Katerina. A real victim, a young girl chosen for warding in 1420, when the castle nearly collapsed in the Hussite Wars. They buried her alive in the stone walls, believing her blood would keep the structure sturdy. The curse, whoever disturbs the grave will be pulled down with it." He flipped an ancient book, the pages rustling like dry leaves, with a rough illustration. The girl being buried, eyes full of horror. Ava sat beside, hand gripping the silver bracelet tightly, her face pale under the dim light, her inner self in extreme turmoil. The curse spreading, exactly like the Hungarian stories her grandma told, where history didn't die but came alive to collect debts. "So, the white shadow is her? And the graves under the apartment? We've seen the knocks, the fishy smell, the dreams. Has the curse spread to us?" Her voice trembled, eyes pleading with him, fearing that Visegrad was pulling them into a vortex of grievances. Anna interjected, her voice strangely captivating, curiosity overriding fear. "What about the construction company? They hid the graves in 1950 and now selling the land for a mall? That's corruption, like the incident in Berlin where my mother..." She stopped, her inner self surging with old pain, but also determination to expose, connecting the chain of actions from the notebook to here. Mr. Novitin nodded, his voice lowering as if whispering to the darkness. "Visegrad is full of wronged souls. Katerina is just one. The company knew about the ancient graves, but hid them for profit. The basement connects to the castle's catacombs, locked to conceal the remains. The curse awakens, manifesting through dreams, phenomena. Want to stop it? Expose the truth. Bury properly, but be careful, or you'll be pulled down." He pushed an old map toward them, his finger trembling slightly. "Start from here, the underground tunnels." As they left the office, the grave-like old paper smell still clung, escalating the tension. Confirmation from the historian opened up flashbacks of Katerina's past, connecting actions to deeper revelations. The building seemed pleased, ready to reveal more asterisk. The evening twilight dyed the streets of Prague red, turning the silhouette of Visegrad Castle into a hazy fiery streak on the hill, like a reminder of the bloody history waiting to be stirred. The group returned to apartment 307 with the old map from historian Novitin in hand, a thread connecting from historical confirmation to deeper secrets, pushing the friends into tension before the climax. The decision to break into the basement. Anna spread the map on the dining table, her finger trembling as it traced the faded lines of the underground tunnels beneath the castle. feeling like she was touching the veins of the past, but fatigue after a long day made her slump, falling asleep on the sofa. Unaware that the map had opened an invisible door, in Anna's dream, the modern world dissolved, replaced by an ancient Prague in 1420, where Vyšehrad Castle stood tall amid the smoke and fire of the Hussite wars. Stone walls cracked under bombardment, the air thick with the smell of burning and fresh blood. She saw herself in Katerina's body, a young girl with long black hair, coarse dress caked with mud, running through the cold stone corridors of the castle, heart pounding like war drums. Not a vague dream, but vivid to the point Anna felt the chill seeping through her skin, the smell of smoke mixed with the pungent tang of nearby graves like a prophetic death. Katerina, or Anna in her body, was dragged into a dark stone room, where lords in black cloaks gathered around a rough wooden table, their faces harsh under flickering candlelight. The castle is about to collapse. A bearded man growled, his voice echoing like thunder. We need warding, fresh blood to keep the walls sturdy. Katerina struggled, her eyes full of horror as they bound her hands, pulling her to the catacombs, where damp earth stuck to her shoes. Moans from old plague victims echoing from the darkness like omens of doom. The dream escalated into terror. They pushed Katerina into a pre-dug niche in the stone wall. Earth filling her feet, then knees, she screamed, but the sound drowned by shovels. The pungent smell of earth invading her nose, mixed with salty tears. Why me? She whispered, her inner self surging with grievance. An innocent girl sacrificed to keep the castle sturdy. The curse forming from the moment earth filled her mouth, turning her into an imprisoned soul. Anna felt that pain as her own, earth squeezing her chest, darkness swallowing, and then the white shadow formed, hovering, whispering, "Return the grave justice." Anna woke screaming. Sweat-drenched, her hand clutching the map crumpled. Lukas and Eva rushed over, their faces pale under the flickering living room light. "Anna, what did you dream?" Lukas asked, voice worried, his inner self shaken. Her dream connected to his own hallucination. Like the curse spreading through each member, Eva knelt, holding Anna's hand. Like Lukas's dream, Katerina is telling her story through you. My grandma said, flashbacks are how spirits connect, demanding help, her eyes full of horror, but mixed with determination. Anna panted, her voice trembling but resolute. I was her, buried alive, for warding. The curse is real, and the company broke it. We have to prepare. Break into the basement. Find evidence. Her dream was the escalation. From historical confirmation to personal experience, connecting actions to real risks. The building seemed to shake slightly, the fishy smell stronger, like agreement from the darkness. Asterisk, the streetlights of Prague filtered through the window of apartment 307 like weak streaks, illuminating the old map from historian Novotnin, where faded lines drew a catacomb maze beneath Vyšehrad Castle. Anna's flashback dream still haunted the atmosphere, a thread connecting from spiritual experience to real action, pushing the group into tension before the climax, the decision to break into the basement. Anna sat at the table, her trembling finger tracing the underground tunnels on the map, her inner self surging with determination mixed with fear, as if Katerina was whispering through the parchment. Go deeper, expose the truth. Lukas stood up, his voice ringing in the dim living room, trying to maintain calm, though his heart raced after his own dream. We can't wait anymore. If the ancient graves are really down there, and the company hid them, the basement is the key. I'll study this. Map. It shows the tunnel connecting the apartment to the castle. About 200 meters, possibly wet and pitch black. His eyes scanned the floor crack, where the fishy smell now spread like a vivid warning. His inner self conflicted between engineer's reason and obsession from the hallucination. He didn't want to admit, but the curse seemed to be calling his name. Eva shook her head, sitting huddled on the sofa, hand gripping the Hungarian charm bag like a final shield. "Lukas, you're crazy. Anna's dream is a sign. Katerina doesn't want us to die with her. Call the police. Let them handle the corruption and ancient graves.